AWS provider version pinning and why it matters. Before Terraform evaluates resources, it forms a contract, not with AWS itself, but with the software that speaks to AWS. That software is the AWS provider. Its version is not a detail, it is the rulebook. The AWS provider is compiled code. It is the bridge. It contains the API mappings, the validation rules, the assumption of what AWS allows. Every provider version is a snapshot of AWS at a point in time. When the version changes, the interpreter changes, even if your configuration does not. If the AWS provider version is not pinned, time becomes an input. Today's initialization and tomorrow's initialization may bind to different logic. Same files, same intent, different interpreter. This is not randomness, it is deferred choice. Cause first, effect later. This tells Terraform that AWS exists, the provider source is known, but version boundaries are absent. What is missing is not safety, it is identity definition. Terraform infers permission to select any compatible AWS provider version available at that moment in time. That choice is not written into the configuration. Your declaration is stable. Your interpreter may not be. AWS evolves continuously. New APIs appear. Old behaviors change. Defaults shift. The AWS provider absorbs those changes and encodes them as version logic. Pinning a version is how you decide which AWS reality Terraform understands. This communicates something precise. The major version is locked. Minor updates are allowed. Stability with a path for growth. Terraform is no longer guessing. It is operating inside declared boundaries. The resource intent remains the same, but now the rules used to evaluate that intent are frozen in time. Planning logic stabilizes. Validation behavior is predictable. You are no longer inheriting new interpretations silently. Identity is preserved across time. Terraform state is interpreted through the AWS provider. Attributes are not raw facts. They are meanings decoded by provider logic. If that logic changes unexpectedly, the meaning of stored state can shift. Version pinning protects historical understandings, quietly, foundationally. In a future lesson, we will explore state schema evolution. AWS provider version pinning does not slow you down. It gives you authorship over change. You decide when new AWS behavior enters the system. Terraform does not demand fear. It rewards intention.